Hey all, you know who it is. Alright, so today I'm gonna read Threefold, Section 6, Part 5. And this is going to be the last part that ends Section 6. If you don't know, Thanksgiving is around the corner, so I'm gonna take a Thanksgiving break because I'll be out of town. But when I return, we're gonna jump into segment 3. So the next segment is going to start at the end of this part. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up part 5 of section 6. Tsuyoshi led the way through the town until they traveled out of it. After a short while, they found Atsuko and Chiyoko standing together. Atsuko didn't have the rifle. Why didn't you come tell us yourself that you wanted to meet here? Tsuyoshi asked Chiyoko when they all stood across from each other. Tsuyoshi, Chiyoko said, get over here. Guinness noticed she held a metal object in her hand. It was a weapon. He recognized it as a folded metal fan. He saw the puzzled expression that crossed Tsuyoshi's face before he went to speak with Atsuko. What's her problem? Tsuyoshi asked her about Chiyoko. Atsuko paid him no attention. She and Junyo had locked eyes. Guinness saw that things were about to get interesting, and he got excited about it. I asked my mother about the rifle, Atsuko said, speaking directly to Junyo. It disappeared along with the Yaverian man 13 years ago. Your sister, if she even exists, stole this rifle from our family. Or maybe it was just the three of you, Chiyoko said. We didn't steal the rifle, Hugo said. We wouldn't have come back to Yavera if we had. This is a misunderstanding. Guinness noticed a beetle fly from Tsuyoshi's right and hover around his ear. He glanced to his left, the direction from which the beetle had come, to see two older women and an older man watching the group from a ways off. One of the women held Junyo's rifle. He watched as a serious expression spread across Tsuyoshi's face. Where did you get the rifle? Atsuko said, calmly and coldly. Did you kill the man who owned it? Did you kill our uncle? It doesn't matter what you say. You'd probably lie, seeing as you're a bunch of thieves. To think, I almost believed your story. I'm no thief, Hugo said, talking to Chiyoko. You're a thief and a murderer instead, she retorted. Guinness watched Hugo sigh and glance over at Junyo before he returned his attention to Chiyoko. He knew Hugo was thinking of a way to get her to believe him and thinking about Junyo's state of mind. Junyo, he grabbed his attention. He nodded in the direction of the three strangers. This is a setup. Junyo glanced at the three strangers and saw his rifle. A setup, Hugo said. You think Jackson, Akura, and Mateo pushed us into this situation? This is where the rifle led us, Junyo said. You killed Sugashima Noboru, Tsuyoshi said. S.N., Atsuko said, the past owner of that rifle. Don't act like you're innocent, Tsuyoshi said. They said they might start talking nonsense, Chiyoko told her cousins. We'll take them into custody, Atsuko said, and let our parents question them. Hugo turned to Guinness at the mention of Sugashima Noboru. They're related, Hugo said in Surezlai. All of them. Sugashima is Junyo and Akura's family name, but Chiyoko, Atsuko, and Tsuyoshi don't know that. Trying to commute with your accomplices in secret, Chiyoko said. No, Hugo said. It's not how it looks. Guinness glanced over at Junyo, thinking he must have realized this because he appeared to stand, contemplating what this meant. He just learned his old man was dead, and these cousins were his cousins. If Jackson, Akira, and Mateo brought them here, did they mean for them to fight? He didn't have a problem with it, but if these people were Junyo's family, this was going to be a brutal reunion. Guinness figured Atsuko, Chiyoko, and Tsuyoshi were strong, especially if Mateo and the others had selected them as their opponents. Junyo's own sister decided to pit them against their relatives. This was Junyo's first meeting with his old man's family after who knows how many years. This was fucked up. Guinness watched the three strangers who stood far off, watching all of them. He assumed they were Chiyoko, Atsuko, and Tsuyoshi's parents. They knew the truth and left their kids ignorant. He felt that explained why they watched and why they sent their kids to exact revenge. He had no way of knowing if he had drawn the right conclusion. If it were true, this might resemble their situation. Their parents knew everything about it. They knew what was going on with their children, but they allowed their siblings to string them along in the dark. That might be what he, Junyo, and Hugo were supposed to understand. There's no reason for us to fight them, Hugo said, dropping out of his native tongue. If you come with us without making trouble, Chiyoko said, you're right. Guinness noticed he and Junyo shared the same expression. They wanted to make trouble, if only to see what their opponents could do. He grinned. He and Junyo had more in common than he first thought. If we fight, Hugo said, we're letting them control us. His comment confused Atsuko, Chiyoko, and Tsuyoshi. Is he talking about us? Tsuyoshi asked his cousins. I don't think so, Atsuko said. Ignore their nonsense, Chiyoko said. We have to fight, Junyo said, or we'll never reach Lunaria. His voice contained a serious edge. That's our goal, Guinness said, remember? I'm starting to think you guys like making your lives more difficult than they need to be, Hugo said. All this could be explained away. Junyo turned his head away from them, indicating that wasn't an option, and his part in this conversation was done. Suddenly, Guinness found it hard to decide whether Junyo was eager to fight or was trying to avoid his familial situation. Junyo's expression gave him a sense of both. Then again, Hugo said, they probably wouldn't believe us. They're watching, Junyo said. Guinness watched Hugo nod. Hugo understood that had been a question before he did. Junyo might believe his old man stood within their small audience, or he wanted to impress the family he never got to know. If Akira wanted this to happen, Junyo said, there is an important reason why. Junyo said in Solarezli, I want to know that reason. At the end of the day, if Junyo trusted no one else, he appeared to trust his sister. You know Solarezli too? Hugo asked. Something I had to pick up, Junyo said. Shut up! Chiyoko shouted. You don't get to talk after what you did. Hey, Tsuyoshi said to her in a calm manner, we're going to handle this. Atsuko gave her a reassuring nod. Will you come peacefully? Atsuko asked. No, Junyo said. Very well then, Atsuko said. She faced off against him. Chiyoko prepared to take Hugo. They left him to Tsuyoshi. Wait, Guinness said with his eyes on Chiyoko and Atsuko. Junyo was ready. Hugo was reluctant. You two aren't going to fight them, Guinness said. They're women. Why wouldn't he, was the answer he received from Junyo via his expression. My mom once told me some women find it rude to be dismissed as unworthy challenges. Hugo glanced at the two women and back at him. These look like two of those women. Real men don't hurt women, Guinness said, a bit pissed off. He couldn't believe Hugo was going to go through with this. With Junyo, he wasn't surprised at all. Hugo sighed. You don't have to hurt people to defeat them, Hugo said. Besides, I offered a third option. The two of you outvoted me. I'm respecting that decision. You have no reason to be pissed. Guinness hated that Hugo was right. I'm a bit impressed, Asuko said. Apparently, there is some honor among thieves. We're not thieves, Hugo said in a serious tone. Just murderers, Chiyoko said. Guess I read you all wrong. Guinness watched Hugo furrow his brow. He saw something in it, and he realized the truth about him. Attacks toward his character bothered him. Many Lunations had some Australians saw Solaresians as thieves, murderers, and generally just no good. Hugo was out to prove his people were better than that. He wanted to have his people seen in a better light. That explained why he thanked that crazy old geezer yesterday. That might have stung if you actually believed that, Hugo said and smiled. Chiyoko sucked on her teeth, visibly annoyed. She leapt at Hugo and swung her folded metal fan. He jumped back to dodge it. Live up to your reputation as one of the strongest fighters of Estrellano, Junyo said to Guinness. That's something I'd like to see. A hardened expression crossed Guinness's face before a grin. You're a bastard, he thought to himself. With a blast of air, Atsuko sent Junyo soaring backward. He managed to land on his feet and counter with a lightning bolt. Atsuko took a deep breath and exhaled, allowing the lightning bolt to pass through her. Guinness watched as the beetle beside Tsuyoshi charged toward him and grew to the size of a Solaresian elephant. He dived out of its way. Atsuko, Chiyoko, and Tsuyoshi weren't playing around. He couldn't get pissed at them. He understood their drive to fight. The fight wasn't about the rifle, but about the death of their uncle. Family meant a lot to them, and he knew what that meant. If they knew Junyo was family, their uncle's son, they'd flip. If he gave a shit, he'd ask Junyo if he should go easy on him, considering they were his family. He thought about Mateo and what he did to their old man. To make his family somewhat whole again, it would be better to forget about it. Mateo wanted him to believe he had a good reason for his actions. For Teresa to disappear with him, he had to have a good explanation. He didn't care. It was too late. If respectable parents have faults, that doesn't mean you kill them. Now wasn't the time to think about that stuff. Tsuyoshi was a new challenge. He wanted to focus. From what he saw, Tsuyoshi had control over nature, a rarity among energists like Icefire. He knew someone with control over nature had unpredictable abilities. He was excited. Mateo was the only person ever able to force his hand. He usually didn't consider anyone on his level that couldn't force him to go all out. In a rematch, he wouldn't underestimate Junyo. He respected Junyo as an energist because Junyo could have defeated him before he had gotten a chance to show the true strength he had. He hid. He cleared his head of those thoughts. That didn't matter with Tsuyoshi. He was confident in an easy win. Alright guys, that was the end of section 6 and the end of part 5 and the end of segment 2. So if you remember a couple videos ago, I told you that this book is broken up into segments. So when I return from break, we'll be starting segment 3. And segment 3 is called Converging Roads. So we'll get back to that when we come back. Hope you've enjoyed our sessions so far. For those of you who haven't jumped into my videos yet, this is a time, this Thanksgiving break, when you're lounging around the house, this is a good time to catch up. So I love you guys. Talk to you later. Have a good night, and thanks for listening. I hope you've been enjoying it.